And they start with the six-pack. They have 3 receivers over to the left side. Now they swing 2 of the 5 that had initially gone there over to the right. Barrett throwing to his right. It's intercepted by Ed Berry. Berry down the sidelines. Touchdown. A 52-yard interception return for a touchdown by Ed Berry. So the Toronto Argonauts, unable to move the football offensively, use their defense to put 6 on the board.
Well, Danny Barrett tried a quick outcut, but you have to throw that ball low and outside. He led the receiver too much. Ed Berry was in perfect position to take it down all the way.
Danny Barrett was the only player with a chance of preventing Ed Berry from getting to the end zone, and he was unable to stop him. The pass was intended for Pee Wee Smith, so with the touchdown by Berry, the Argos lead 6-0, and now Lance Chummy, the scoring leader in the Canadian Football League, a record setter this year with 236 points, adds the point after.
Well, Don, it's exactly like you said last week. Everybody talks about the Toronto offense, and they have a tendency to overlook the defense. They're very strong at the corners. Berry, he's one of those guys that will lay back, and then come up with the interception, but that ball was perfectly thrown to him, not to their receiver. And, of course, they got Reggie Pleasant on the other side. Defenses are only as good as their defensive corners.
It's remarkable when you look at Danny Barrett's interception total this year. Only 5 times did he throw a ball into opposition hands, and on his very first pass attempt in the most important game of the year, he hits Ed Berry, who returns it 52 yards for a touchdown.
Well, we've seen the skill people be way off. Dunnigan was off, and of course, right here, Danny Barrett is off. Even Hank Olisic didn't get a very good kick. So when you're out there with cold temperature, that's what happens. Barrett had an angle. He tried to come in on him. Ed Berry was too fast.
Only 5 interceptions in 438 attempts this year, 1 in every 87 throws. In 1971, when the Argos lost, their only touchdown scored by an interception, a fumble recovery, and the Argos have it again. Keith Costello recovers the kickoff, and the Calgary Stampeders find themselves in a hole early in this football game. The Toronto Argonauts, who were loose, relaxed, and enjoying themselves all week, are enjoying themselves in the game that counts most, as they have jumped into an early 7-0 lead, and they have it 1st and 10 after the fumble recovery at the Calgary 30-yard line.
Well, that hurts more than the last play, because Calgary had a chance to come back out on offense. Now they don't.
I would think they're also having some difficulties keeping their feet warm, and as the game progresses, that may become even a bigger concern. Well, the Rocket got his feet going and brought the football back to the 50-yard line, a 30-yard run back off that kickoff. Andy McVeigh made the tackle. It will be 1st and 10 Toronto from the 50-yard line. Jerry Corrick certainly wants to improve upon his previous kick. It only traveled 5 yards, and this one is better. It bounces to the Rocket at the 5. He gets a bit of a hole now to the outside. Look out! He loses the football. Calgary recovers. A 68-yard return goes for naught. Darryl Hall hit the Rocket as he cut back when he found access to the outside, closed off by the kicker, Jerry Corrick. And the ball came loose, and Paul Platney recovered after that brilliant 68-yard return.
Well, the good news, great return. The bad news is he fumbled it at the end. I mean, he came in and just made everything happen at the point of attack. What a return by the Rocket. You know, that was a great picture, and the cameraman, they got to be cold out there, but if they could get us good shots like that last one, they must not be that cold.
14-11, Calgary leading the exact score after 3 quarters in 1971, and of course that was also the final score. Pinball on the sidelines gets a couple of key blocks, and he brings the ball back to the 37. The Argos on special teams have had great success, but they've lost the football deep in Calgary territory. Scott? Done. 3:09 with the clock running and winding down in the 3rd quarter. Dunnigan fakes inside, steps up, throws deep for Daryl Smith. He's got a touchdown. Well, if there was any concern about Dunnigan's ability to put some zip in the football, he certainly disproved them right there with a 47-yard pass to Daryl K. Smith, and he rifled that one down the seam.
Well, that's that same thing we talked about, the pump fake, then put it right down the middle. We said Matt Dunnigan looked better the second half. He had a little more zip on the ball. I don't know what they did at halftime. Maybe he got hypnotized, but he came back out in this quarter, and he looks like he can zing that football. Daryl K. wide open.
With one flip of the arm, Matt Dunnigan doubles his passing yardage for the game, hitting Daryl Smith for the major score. Lance Chomick adds the point after, and the Toronto Argos move ahead of the Calgary Stampeders 19-14.
That was one of the few times Matt Dunnigan had the time. He had protection. He looked over the field, did the pump fake, and now he puts it down to actually the guy who's done it for them all year, Daryl K. Smith. Whenever they've needed a big play, they go to Daryl K. But look at the pass protection. Schultz is back in there. He said, hey, there's nothing wrong with me. I can block. And he does. Dan Ferrone came out and helped him. Hey, he's lifting his right arm, too. That's supposed to be the bad arm.
Matt Dunnigan celebrating a pass completion to Daryl K. Smith for the major score that has moved the Argos back in front of the Calgary Stampeders with 2:59 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Toronto Argonauts leading by 5 as we start the 4th quarter at Winnipeg Stadium. 2nd and 16 for the Calgary Stampeders. Danny Barrett remains in at quarterback, throwing for Alan Pitts. It's intercepted. Reggie Pleasant, who plays the right corner, picks it off. Ed Barry opened the game, picking one off on the left side. Pleasant brings this one back to the 12-yard line. The second time today that Danny Barrett has been intercepted, a 27-yard return by Reggie Pleasant.
Well, you got to think that that one got away from him. I think Harold Hallman had something to do with it. Maybe that wrapped leg had another to do with it. But that ball isn't near the intended receiver, Reggie Pleasant. He's just back there playing center fielder. Hallman got in there, and he just disturbed him enough to make that ball sail.
On 3rd down, Jerry Corrick had a little difficulty handling that snap from center, but gets away his best kick of the ball game, chasing the Rocket back to the 12, and with 4 Stampeders in his face, he steps out of bounds. 12:50 remains in the game. The Rocket has had 2 big kick returns today. He didn't have a chance to run the last one back, and he was also penalized. He took the ball and stepped out of bounds, and he had an exchange and threw the ball, resulting in an unsportsmanlike call. Dan Wicklum was the player he threw the ball at, and you'll recall the incident earlier in the year in September at McMahon Stadium in Calgary when Wicklum's hit on the Rocket resulted in a concussion. He sometimes is the forgotten man in the Calgary passing scheme. The Rocket looks for a hole. If he gets to the outside this time, he's gone.
Goodbye.
The Rocket delivers. The $1 Million Man provides cause for celebration among the Toronto Argonaut owners. An 87-yard kickoff return. The Rocket with a late punt return touchdown on October 20th, defeated the Calgary Stampeders, and Bruce McNall, who made the investment in the Rocket, is going to get a return perhaps today at Winnipeg Stadium. 87 yards on this kickoff run back by the Rocket. Once he got outside of Junior Thurman, there's no way Mark McLaughlin was going to catch him.
The thing that the Rocket will do is he'll see the seam, and when he sees a seam, I mean, it is over. I mean, he takes that seam and puts on the afterburners. There's nobody that can catch him. I mean, you can't catch the Rocket with a kicker.
Lance Chomick adds the point after as the Argos respond quickly to the Calgary touchdown. 87 yards for the Rocket, and with the job he has done this afternoon, he's another candidate for one of those awards that will be presented.
Well, according to my calculations, that is the 4th big return by the Rocket. But the acceleration, the burst that he puts on when he sees there's a seam, when he sees the opening, he's got a tremendous burst, and then pure flat-out speed takes him the rest of the way.
Well, a snowball falls close to the Rocket, but even that can't prevent him from celebrating. A kickoff return for a touchdown, and now he moves to the bench to enjoy some of the warmth as provided by the propane heater. And for Raghib Ismail, that is a Grey Cup record, the longest kickoff return ever, 87 yards, the length of his run back. 29-21, 10:26 remaining. Ball was touched by the Stampeders, recovered by Keith Costello. Keevan Jenkins came racing up on the kickoff, looking as though he was going to field the ball. He let it bounce, but it touched him. And Keith Costello was there to grab it.
Pee-wee Smith didn't have a chance for it. What happened? Keevan, I'm surprised he was that deep, and they've been kicking those pop-ups the whole game. And it got a piece of Keevan. Pee-wee wasn't able to get there. It's interesting, in this football game, we're seeing more passes underneath. I mean, you got all of that speed out there on both sides. The great wideouts, Darrell K. Smith, Alan Pitts, all those fast receivers, and yet the consistent offensive plays have been the underneath routes, dumping the ball off.
Wally Buono has to be concerned about the number of errors his team has committed. Fumbles, mishandling the ball on kicks, and of course 2 interceptions. They were a +20 in the giveaway takeaway category this season. Deep throw, touchdown Masadi. Masadi jumped up and hauled the ball in front of Ken Watson. Both Masadi and Darrell K. Smith were down at the goal line, and Masadi went up to haul it in.
Well, we talked about it before when Masadi didn't get that pass that was sent to Ken. When Kent Watson knocked it down, we said that's what happens. Masadi makes those plays. He loves that end zone, and what an unlikely hero from Acadia. I mean, that is a big play in this ball game.
With 9:41 remaining, the Argos now lead 35-21.
And you want to talk about character studies. This guy has to have character. Matt Dunnigan injured all week, injured all season practically, and he's coming back with a fine ball game.
Lance Chomick adds the point after. And the Toronto Argonauts very quickly, after the Stampeders moved within a single point, have now taken a 15-point lead. 9:41 is the time remaining in this 79th edition of the Grey Cup game.
So much for statistics, Don. I don't think Matt Dunnigan is worried at all about statistics now. He's had some excellent throws. And hey, you only need a couple when you can throw the ball like Matt. That's just going up and bringing the ball down as though it's your own. And we've seen Masadi do that most of the year. I mean, this is a busted play. There shouldn't be 2, David Williams or Masadi. Somebody's wrong, but it doesn't matter because Masadi brought it down.
The end result is all, I suppose, that really counts.
And Matt Dunnigan saying, see, I'm going to win a Grey Cup. I told you I wasn't hurt that bad. I'm going to play.
We showed you the statistic about the 1971 Grey Cup game.
That's for you, Stony Creek. That's for you too, baby.
where the Stampeders won with only 7 first downs. The Argos only have 7 first downs so far in this game. Pee-wee Smith tackled by J.P. Izquierdo. Now the short yardage offense comes out for Calgary. Barrett fakes, he's under pressure. Campbell and Gaines came through, and Gaines got to him. I'm a little surprised that the Stampeders opted to throw the football from the 2-yard line.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a run as well, but nobody on the Argos team did. I mean, Gaines came right in. He didn't even buy the fake. The play fake meant nothing to the Argo defense. Danny Barrett comes off the play fake. All it did was hold Barrett, and now he can't avoid Chris Gaines coming in.
Chris Gaines makes the sack. The Stampeders are going after it on 3rd down. 4:57 remaining. Remember, they have to put it in the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Sapunjas, and the Toronto Argonauts will take over as the Stampeders lose the ball on downs.
Well, the guy who made a big play was Chris Gaines, and that's a guy that's probably going to retire after this year. He's got a degenerative ankle.
He's had surgery on his ankle 5 times, and doctors have indicated that if he continues to play, he could become crippled by the time he's 40. So he has indicated this will be his final game, and his Argo teammates have dedicated this football game to him. And number 38, the man affectionately referred to as Jethro, has played a solid game defensively, and what a play he made to sack Danny Barrett on 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line.
And he's the spokesman of the team. He's got a little bit of a rap special that he does for the rest of the ball club.
Don, I've been watching Matt Dunnigan throughout this game on the sidelines, and he's nothing like he usually is. And what I mean by that is he has been in discomfort, obvious discomfort, with gusts up to pain, so that makes his effort today truly outstanding. It seems a virtual certainty that he took a shot of freezing in his shoulder so that he could play today, but still he is playing in a lot of pain. The receivers have confided in me and told me that he can throw for distance, but the balls don't have the same zip on them. Not that it matters now with the score the way it is.
Barrett tackled by Rodney Harding back at the 45-yard line. He was looking deep for Sean Beals.
He didn't have the time, and Rodney Harding just spun around the blocker and came in on Danny Barrett. You don't usually get a sack when you go low on the quarterback, but that's exactly what happened.
2:38 is the time remaining.
And he's not able to get out of the way, and look at Harding right in on his bad leg and pulled it up.
The Argos take over with 2:15 remaining.
Well, there's Matt Dunnigan. I mean, he's expecting a baby any day now. His 2nd child.
The ball is loose. Who's got it? The Argos have recovered. Dunnigan had a little trouble with the exchange from center.
I think that's from not practicing. I mean, he's had that problem. This is the 2nd time he's had that problem in the ball game. Anyway, it's a great week for Matt Dunnigan, because if Matthew can hold on to this victory, he'll have a Grey Cup victory, possibly a baby, and his parents are celebrating their 33rd anniversary. And that's what Matt Dunnigan wants to drink out of, a little champagne out of the Grey Cup.
Originally designed to be presented as an amateur hockey trophy. Some might say that's appropriate on a day such as today. The Grey Cup wound up being presented for the football championship in this country. Matt Dunnigan runs with the ball, and Matt Dunnigan is brought down at the 37-yard line, but most importantly for the Argos, he takes a lot of time off the clock. 1:44 is the time remaining.
Typical Matt Dunnigan play. I mean, here he is. He's all but got the Grey Cup wrapped up. He sprints out, and instead of going out of bounds that would let the clock run, what did he do? He put his head down, drove through about 4 different people, and Wayne Gretzky saying, hey, that's my guy, that's my quarterback.
Wayne Gretzky, John Candy, and Bruce McNall purchasing the Toronto Argonauts this past year. And their investment is going to pay dividends, as in their initial year as owners of this football team, they are 134 away from winning the Grey Cup. The Rocket electrified the crowd. An 87-yard touchdown return on a kickoff after the Stampeders had moved to within a single point.
Well, he didn't get a chance to catch many balls from the line of scrimmage, but he caught some kick returns, and he did the most with it.
Commissioner Donald Crump preparing for the presentation of the Grey Cup. It will take place on the field here at Winnipeg Stadium. And surprisingly, despite the fact that the majority of fans here have declared support for the Calgary Stampeders, it's a cold afternoon, they are still in their seats. Maybe they're stuck there, they can't get out. Carl Bland on the receiving end. The Toronto Argonauts are using the Winnipeg Blue Bomber locker room, and it looks as though there's going to be a rather lively celebration taking place there in about 55 seconds. Barrett's pass over the middle, first down to Sapunjas at the 24.
Well, you always look for who played a great game, and the Argos can take satisfaction in the fact that their marquee players have done a great job out there. Darrell K. Smith, the guy that always comes through with some big plays, he was there to get them the lead.
Barrett to Pee Wee Smith. The initial contact by Chris Gaines as he's brought down at the 17-yard line by Darryl Ford. 39 seconds remaining. 36-21. The Argos leading Calgary.
Calgary will have a lot of yardage when this ball game is over. Just the two bombs, really, from the Toronto side of the ball.
Wide open in the end zone. Alan Pitts, he can't haul it in. He got in behind Dave Bavell, and he could not reach up to 23 seconds remain.
Well, the Argo defense is doing exactly what they want to do. They're allowing him to make the catch. They're coming up making good, solid tackles, but more importantly, they're wasting time. They know the potential of the Calgary Stampeders.
Said the ball was at the 13-yard line. Judging by the spot, though, well, they do have it. The measurement reveals as they brought out the chain that they just made it. 23 seconds remaining. They actually spotted the ball at the 14-yard line. First and 10, Calgary. Stampeders trailing by 15. Barrett looks to the end zone. It is intercepted. Reggie Pleasant with the third Toronto interception of the football game, and that will guarantee a Toronto Argonaut Grey Cup triumph with just 13 seconds remaining here in this 79th edition of the Grey Cup game at Winnipeg Stadium. Ed Berry opened the game by intercepting a Danny Barrett pass and returning it for a touchdown. Reggie Pleasant has picked off two in the fourth quarter. One of them paved the way to a field goal. This one will pave the way to an Argo victory.
That's Reggie Pleasant's second interception. He's just been dropping back, playing center field. He just waits for the bad throw, and then he pulled it off. Chris Gaines, he doesn't wait for anything. I mean, he wants to hit somebody. He's still fired up.
Chris Gaines prepared to celebrate a Grey Cup victory in his last appearance as a Toronto Argonaut. He has indicated that he is retiring. Dunnigan simply grounds the ball, and we're really not sure the amount of time remaining. It should be about 11 seconds, but they have had problems with the clock all day. Wally Buono and Larry Rickman, the coach and the owner, watching the final seconds tick off, and they may have some problems trying to present the Grey Cup on the field here at Winnipeg Stadium as fans are coming out of the stands onto the field. Bruce McNall, the owner, now with Alfie Schlegel. Alfie?
Thanks, Donner, with Bruce McNall. Bruce, you must be absolutely thrilled. How's the team? How do you feel?
Fantastic. I am thrilled to death. I'm so proud of the players and everybody else involved, and for Wayne and John especially, who grew up right in Toronto, and I think it's a dream come true for everybody. It's fantastic.
How's the first Grey Cup feel?
It's amazing. I can't believe it. I feel so lucky. I just can't imagine. Fantastic.
Congratulations. Good year. Back to you, John.
Yes, indeed, a great year for the Toronto Argonauts. The purchase of the team by the Bruce McNall Group, Wayne Gretzky and John Candy, the other two partners who purchased the football team, the signing of the Rocket, and culminated today in the winning of the Grey Cup. A tremendous performance by the Toronto Argonauts. A team all week that was extremely loose as they prepared for this Grey Cup game, and now Don Crump, the commissioner, is going to present the trophy.